Imagine what life would be like if we could wake up every day wanting to live and not exist. I know this is a little hard for some people to imagine or just to picture because they've been so used to living their life in a way that doesn't make any sense. And even though they're unhappy and they're unfulfilled with what they're doing, they continue to do the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. I've always tried to find a way to do things in a better and more effective way. But I also like things that are simple. I also like plans and steps and strategies that are going to help me get to the next level or the destination that I'm trying to get to in the most effective way. My name is Diogo Esteves. I was born and raised in Brazil. I first moved to the US when I was 14 years old with my family. I fell in love with the US when I first moved here, and so I got a chance to move back when I was 17 years old to work as a busboy in a resort back in Idaho, and that's where the journey really began. I've been married for about 14 years to my beautiful wife, Daniela. I have two amazing kids, Matthew, who's 9 years old, and Luca, who's 3. And we currently live in the beautiful city of Orlando, Florida. I've lived in 6 different states, so I've had quite a bit of an opportunity to see amazing places all over this country. And I can tell you for sure that this is my home. So the second time I moved to the US when I was 17, as I mentioned, I was working as a busboy in Idaho. And that's when I really started seeing a different type of opportunity. I had worked in Brazil before, worked like crazy, but just couldn't really make ends meet. I just couldn't really see any real money at the end of the month. So when I first moved to the US and I started not just working as a busboy, but I was doing other side jobs, and I could see that at the end of the month I could really accomplish something or amount to something, it really got me excited. I went back to Brazil when I was 18 again. I got married to my wife and we moved to the US a year later. We started doing little odd jobs here and there. We lived in Idaho, Utah, Colorado, Arizona. For the most part, we got a lot of experience and the entire thing was a lot of fun, but at the end of the day, it was also not fulfilling. We moved to Florida when I was 23 years old back in 2007. Got a chance to work with big companies as well, but the sense of fulfillment was still missing. I just couldn't get myself to get excited about anything that I was doing. And I really wanted to do something special with my life. So back in 2009, I started working with a company that gave me the opportunity to dream a little bigger, to be able to accomplish bigger things, and that's when the real journey of entrepreneurship really started. In 2014, I opened my own real estate company. We did very well. I franchised about a year later, and we opened 15 locations within another year. The challenge with that was that in 2016, I realized that the more I accomplished, the more I made, the more things that I got, the less happy I became. I had such a big void in my heart that I really couldn't explain what was going on. And that was the biggest challenge that I had. In April of 2016, I finally got home one day and I just got down on my knees and I just cried out to God and I said, listen, I don't even know if you exist anymore. But if you do exist, I either need you to take my life and just end it right now or give me purpose. What happened from that point on was just incredible because he literally took us from Orlando all the way to Texas where we didn't know anybody. And all of a sudden we found ourselves in an environment that would allow us to really find out why we were created to begin with, who created us, and who we really were. So one of the most valuable lessons that I learned in life is that there are 2 ways to learn. There's a good way and a great way. The good way is when you're learning through your own mistakes, right? This is how most people learn. And a great way is when you're learning through someone else's mistakes. One of the biggest reasons why I wrote the book is because I wanted to leave my kids a legacy. That was by far the biggest thing. So just like any other father that wants the best thing for their kids, I wanted them to learn the great way, not the good way. Because I had already made the mistakes, I just didn't want them to go through the same things that I went through. So the biggest thing with this book is how can I leave them a legacy that will impact not only their lives, but generations to come. This is a huge thing. And obviously, it's going to impact others all over the world as well, because I believe that everybody has a different story. So if we understand that we were uniquely made and we were created for a specific reason, but we're not fulfilling that reason because we have no time. Then what's the solution? You have to buy back your time. You need a simple and effective strategy to eventually be able to do that. It's not going to happen overnight, but if you don't have a plan in place, when will it happen? One of the things that I realized along the way is that we were created for relationships. So although most people are trying to live their lives not thinking about others, trying to impact others in whatever they say or do, they're not really living life the way life was meant to be lived. And I did this for the longest time. So I started really investing a lot of time, not just into my family and pouring into their lives, but I also started developing relationships with people outside of my family. And then I finally understood that there were pieces of the puzzle that God was putting together for my life. That's what being a Kingsman really is about. It's about a community of like-minded individuals that just help each other out throughout their journeys. So I believe if people were just a little bit aware of the fact that there is a specific plan that was created just for them, and they could step into that destiny, they could step into that purpose, their lives would completely change. And that's exactly what I want to bring them with the book. And I want to be able to share my story with them so they can relate and they can apply it and really start on the path that God created for them. Now the question is, are you ready to become a Kingsman?